everybody, it's F-Bomb Fitzgerald, and in this game I used a Rook Sacrifice to blow open what had otherwise been a very tight, stalematey, balanced position to give myself the winning advantage. I'm playing the white pieces. I don't play the bishop's opening for a change. Everything here is fairly standard. He's obviously going to kick my bishop, so I give myself an escape square. He pushes anyway. I'm going to want to blow this up as soon as I can. So that's what I do with this pawn push. We do some trades. I castle to solidify. Yeah, he can do a discovered attack on my rook, but I have a space that I could slide over to, so I'm not worried about that. He pushes, I pushes to lock this pawn into place on c4. It feels very isolated because there's no b-file pawn to defend it, and this pawn's not going to come to its rescue either. So I play a series of moves with the idea that I want to attack it. I've got my knight, my bishop, and eventually I want to get my rook, all three of them attacking this one pawn to just kind of blow up this side. He does this pawn push, which is a little curious to me because now I feel like he doesn't have good castling options on either side, but I'm not worried about the pawn push because if he does push the pawn, I'm just going to move my knight over to h4, which will simultaneously attack his overextended pawn, get my knight out of danger, and also set up moving my knight eventually to the f5 square where it'll be very central and very hard to kick. So instead, I decided to push my original plan of getting as many pieces as possible, attacking his isolated c4 pawn, and he defends it. There's just a ton of pressure going on this one square, but that's when I noticed this Rook Sacrifice. I don't get a lot of brilliancy, so I was proud of this one. He takes back, but I'm able to capture back with the queen. So at this stage, yeah, he won that exchange on material, but because he has to respond to this check and this bishop is not defended, I'm going to win all that material back and then some. So his options here are pretty limited. He can't block the check with his bishop because then I'll just capture it back. And also, he can't defend his bishop by moving his rook over here and blocking my queen's attack because this pawn is also covering that square. Instead, he offers a queen trade. I'm obviously not going to take that. I'm just going to grab the free piece. He pushes. I'm able to grab back this c4 pawn, which had been a big point of contention before, and I'm able to just straight up grab it. I'm hoping to push my bishop over to the b5 square eventually so I can really put a lot of pressure on his queen and his king. Unfortunately, he sees that and he preemptively breaks that pin potential. But I move the bishop regardless because I want to try and gain a tempo on the queen and also open up these files for my passed pawns to advance. If we're just taking a snapshot of the game at this exact moment, I'm feeling really good. I've got the lead in development because this knight has nowhere to go. This bishop isn't really doing anything. I've got two passed pawns, and what had been a very tight position here, I feel like I've got a clear winning advantage. He backs up, and I make my first real big brain fart of the game, which is I should have pushed this pawn. That would have solidified everything, and the pawn would have been defended by two pieces. Instead, I push the wrong pawn, and he punishes me by grabbing the free pawn back there. I try and kick his rook out. That's kind of a cute move. It looks like it's attacking both pieces, but because my bishop is defending the c4 square, it really doesn't do very much. Looks like he's trying to do some sort of pawn side push here. I'm not overly threatened by it. If he pushes this pawn to attack my knight, I'll just do that little hopscotch escape move, come over here, and I'll feel better about my position. And if instead he just keeps pushing this pawn, I also have some responses in mind. So instead, I try and bully his rook out of my back line or force a trade because I am up in material. And I think his thinking here was cute, where he noticed that this pawn wasn't being defended by any other pieces, but what he failed to notice is this discovered attack on his rook, which is especially dangerous because I can grab either of these pawns with my knight, and because those result in a check, I'm going to win the rook straight away. The computer actually thinks I should have grabbed this pawn instead. To me, I didn't feel bad in the moment grabbing the other pawn though, because I'm essentially trading my knight for a pawn, but I'm also winning his troublesome rook straight away. He does his little advance here, and my thinking was I wanted to get my queen kind of out of the way of this file while also trying to push a little bit of an advantage. He blocks with his knight, but that knight is pinned, so it's a little bit less of a concern that he's finally starting to develop. And I push my pawn. I don't think I noticed that this pawn was undefended, so that's also something I missed in the heat of the moment. This attack doesn't really do all that much because I can just retreat, and then I also have my bishop attacking that overextended pawn. He grabs my passed pawn, which was undefended, and he's also now attacking my knight, which has no defenses here. Clearly the best response is to fork his queen and bishop. That escapes his queen's attack while also putting pressure on his pieces, but I missed the move. Instead, I play this move to try and kick his queen. He responds by threatening back rank and attacking my rook. But I like that because it enables me to reset to the old position, which we were at just 2 moves ago. And now I see the correct move, which is the fork. He has to move his queen away to defend it, and the only square where he can move it where his queen is no longer attacked, but he's also defending this piece, is to bring it back to d8, which is what he does. And at that stage, I'm now free to capture this pawn, which effectively completely neutralizes whatever pawn rush he was doing on this side of the board. He pushes there. I could just grab it immediately with my bishop because it's not doing anything, but I decided to try and force a tempo, kind of flush his king out, and now I'm able to grab the pawn. This move is wild to me because instead of retreating his king to more safety, he's really pushing it into the back lines. So I respond by doing a trade of material because I'm already up 6 points of material, so any trade is going to be in my favor. And then I play this rook move, the idea being less about bringing the rook over to attack his king and more about freeing open this square for my black bishop, because if I can get my black bishop on this diagonal and my white bishop's already on this one, it's going to really limit where his king can go. He doubles down by going deeper in the back line. I think maybe he's trying to attack this center pawn with his king, but that just seems super risky, and I'm also able to defend it. The computer doesn't like this move because I missed a forced checkmate that I could have done if I hadn't played this, but at the end of the day, he's still in so much trouble and he has so little counterplay that I don't actually view this as a mistake at all. He attacks my queen, but I have the checkmate lined up because he doesn't have any escape squares. So yeah, at the end of the game, I ended up being up 6 points in material, but I was just really proud of how I was able to break open the queen side completely using that Rook Sacrifice. Anyway, let me know in the comments section how you thought this game went. Thank you as always for watching, and I hope you're having a great day. Bye!